Hey y'all, welcome back. This is Talking Shit with Deja, where we drop the eye because not only can I talk our shit, but I want you to talk your shit too. Hey y'all, I'm back. Like I said, I'm back and ready to go. I mentioned last week that I want to really dive deep into talking my shit. Though I don't think that I really didn't talk my shit before. I was going through my previous episodes and realized, like, Dejanay, you really do be talking your shit. But I did notice that I didn't really go into detail or depth or anything about different things that I brought up. I kind of would keep it surface to kind of be able to pass along the information. But, I really want to go through those situations and really tell the story and how those stories now impact my life today, because I've been through some things, and they have played some parts in my life that I'm still working through and trying to get over or get through, or however you want to consider it. What am I trying to say? But I'm really just trying to figure out how to navigate all of this stuff that I previously went through, because they are starting to come back up into my life now as an adult in many different ways, shapes, forms, whatever. They're popping up. And so, in order to fix a problem, you got to go to the root. Then the reason why you got to go to the root is because you really got to be able to know why you're so associated to the things, or why you're so connected to the things that continue to trigger you. What did it set off in your brain that whenever it comes up in your life now, that you're so gung-ho on, or you're still letting it impact you now as an adult? Because there's so many things that keep coming up for me that are like triggering me and everything. Like I mentioned last week, I just lost my job because there was something that, how do I explain it? Like I said, I kept so much stuff in that it just took that one last time for you to poke, and now I just let it slip. So stuff is showing up that maybe I thought I was okay or dealing with or whatever, that maybe I really wasn't. So I really want to just go through the different things and how they showed up previously, how they're showing up now, how I'm handling them now. Very little. But, trying, doing my best, not trying, because I learned that trying is not a good word to just say. I'm doing my best to navigate it. But, while I was on my hiatus, there was a term that I came across, because y'all know I like terms. I like putting a face to the name, a name to the face. I like being able to call a thing a thing. I got that from Iyanla, y'all. I binge watched Iyanla Fix My Life. And I love when she be like, just call a thing a thing. So I like being able to call a thing a thing. So I want to start from the beginning, and in starting from the beginning, I was able to call a thing by learning about this term that I came across first in my mental health first aid, children's mental health first aid. I came across the term first there and realized, like, oh shit. And then I came across the term again when I went to my friend's dissertation, because yes, I got a PhD friend or whatever, like Dr. Bristol, a doctor friend, we doing things over here, Dr. friend. But when I went to her dissertation, the term came up again. And I was just like, okay, I like this. This can help me to start from the beginning, because I didn't know how I was going to start from the beginning. I didn't want to just go through stories. I didn't want to just blurt out stuff. So this term and the different things that encompass the term are going to be able to help me to navigate the the stories from the beginning to now, as well as when I do have conversations with my siblings and my family, I can start them there and not just be like, so who broke your heart? Like no, we could actually start from a specific place and let the conversation guide that way. So the term that I'm talking about that I was able to call a thing is adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs for short. So when I came across this term, adverse childhood experiences, I did not know that that was a thing. Really didn't. When we were going over it in the mental health first aid training class and everything, I was like, "Whoa, that's what this called." They adverse childhood experiences. I thought it was just bullshit. I was just like, this bullshit. Like, why do I gotta go through this shit? Like, and so I was able to also notice that a lot of people go through adverse childhood experiences. Like in my training class, it had to be like 12, 13 of us or so, maybe a little more, but majority of them have been through the experiences, some of the experiences that were mentioned on the list. And so I realized like just how common these are and the impact it has on us as adults and everything. So I lied y'all last week when I said I wouldn't go present y'all with any new subject topics. I lied a little bit. Um, this is gonna be the last one. This is gonna be the one that takes me into the story and the journey and everything like that. But I really just want to present y'all with the information, one, because when you leave this episode, if you go through the whole thing, I want you to be able to like turn this episode off and go talk to your kids if you are a parent, or go talk to your siblings if you're a child, or go talk to, if I don't know, but go talk to the children in your life and be able to start a conversation. Be like, hey, are you okay? Are you doing well? Like, have you ever, I don't even know if you would directly ask them these things, but you know, you never know. If you're confident enough and the kid trusts you enough, be direct, because ain't nobody got time to beat around the bush. So I want you to be able to turn this off and go have a real conversation with the kids around you, with the children around you. Um, because what we did talk about in that training class is that for all of us that went through all of these experiences, we had like no adult to really talk to about what we had been through or what we were going through. We kind of only had peers, and if you have peers that are going through the same things you're going through, there's really not too much help other than that you start to think that this is normal when in reality it's not. So I just want you all to be able to have conversations with the children around you, if you're an adult or if you're a child or a teenager or whatever. Like, encourage those around you to open up, or you open up, or whatever the case may be, because it's so common for all of us to go through these, but we're kind of going through these by ourselves, which is why this generation and a lot of this era, not even this generation, this era, people are fucked because we went through most likely a lot of these things on this list that I'm going to go through, and we haven't learned how to process, deal, or whatever. So, but yeah. So, I just want to go through like the definition of what it says, adverse childhood experiences. And it says it's negative experiences that happen between the ages of 1 and 17 years old. These experiences are usually traumatic events. ACEs can affect a person's health throughout their lifetime. They may lead to issues such as mental health conditions, chronic physical health conditions, and or substance use disorders. These conditions can be treated or managed throughout a person's life. So basically, it's traumatic events that happens to a child when they're younger that can lead to them having a whole bunch of problems when they're older. Yeah, that's the gist. So the different types of, because they name 10, but I'm sure there's more depending on how your children perceive trauma or what can traumatize them. But these are the 10 that is mentioned online. So the different adverse childhood experiences can be physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. So that's just one. So abuse would be the whole thing, but it's physical, sexual, and emotional. And then neglect, and that's either emotional or physical neglect. Living with a family member with mental health or substance use disorders, witnessing domestic violence, sudden separation from a loved one, poverty, racism and discrimination, and violence in the community. Again, what a child perceives as traumatic could not be on this list. So again, I want you all to be able to start conversations with the kids around you to know what is being like what is going on around them. Because I know for me, bullying isn't on there, but I don't necessarily know if that would be considered like emotional abuse or not. But bullying for me, it would be on there. Cyberbullying, because social media is a thing, and I'm sure cyberbullying is crazy. These big grown ass people cyberbully, so I can only imagine what the kids are going through when it comes to cyberbullying. um so yeah, those are different things to that could happen to your child that could cause them to go through a traumatic process. So start the conversation if you know your child has been through that, or to see if your child has, so you know how to help them moving forward. Because honestly, if myself as well as the other people in that training event as well as so many other people had somebody to talk to or help them through it, or whatever the case may be, really be able to help them, we wouldn't have gone through probably as much as we went through in our lifetimes. I'm young, and I think I was like one of the younger people that was at that training. So I don't even think I've been through all that, a person could go through dealing with these different events, experiences. But I also think that comes with like how I lived extracurricularly. Is that a word? Extracurricularly. Like I was in cheerleading, I was in band, I was always around like peers. So I definitely was dealing with some shit, but for the most part I had outlets so that, I wouldn't have been super duper bad off. Granted, I still did some crazy shit and I still definitely didn't come out scar free, but because of the activities that I was placed in, I was able to, not be so fucked compared to somebody who went through all this stuff, didn't have any extracurriculars, and the only thing they had around them was negative influences. So to continue on the website, um, how common are adverse childhood experiences? Like I just mentioned, when I was in that training, it was might have been like 12, 13, 14, 15 in there somewhere. And of that, maybe 10, 11 of us had two or three more, like three of those different experiences that we had went through. That's a high percentage. So I can only imagine what the website's going to say, but I'm going to read it for you so you know how common the experiences really are. So it says that a study of adults in the United States reported that 60 to 80% experienced at least one type of adverse childhood experience. Of the same test group, 1 in 6 said they experienced 4 or more ACEs between the ages 1 and 17. So, yeah, a lot. And when you compound, like we all know what compounding is, it can either be good or bad. If you compound negative shit, it makes sense why you have more negative shit that you got to end up undoing and working through and everything when you're an adult. So me going through this list of the 10 different things, I definitely was, I was molested, I had emotional abuse, I lived with family members with mental health or substance use disorders. both. um, I witnessed not like full on domestic violence, but I witnessed my parents being physical towards each other. I witnessed my parent and another guy, he tried to take us off the interstate. I witnessed that. Um, Sudden separation from loved one, no, not that, but poverty. Witnessed having to, boil the water on the stove so you can have hot water. Do lighting candles because you ain't have lights. Rats running through your apartment because the lights turned off and they come. Like, yeah, definitely experienced that stuff. Racism and discrimination. For me, racism never showed up overtly where people were like, you're black, that's bad. Like, no, but I did go to predominantly white institution. So when you're the only black girl, you're the token black girl, you don't really realize that while you're in there. But then you start to notice little things like you can't really date the dudes around you because you're the black girl and that's not what they're into. You really can't, like, you're viewed as a certain way that you don't realize is like a certain way till you get older, because again, when you're young, you're just living. So it was very, what is it, covertly that racial discrimination showed up in my life, but it was never overtly. Like, nobody was crazy enough to be direct with it. Um, but it did show up, and I think it played a part in my life. And then violence in the community. I've been around gunshots, literally twice, ran from gunshots, which you're not supposed to run. You're supposed to get low and move fast. Don't run. But I was young and I didn't know that. So we was running, taking off. I was around gunshots before. I've never seen anybody die in front of me. Thank you, Jesus. Because I don't know how I would be able to deal with that. But I've seen fist fights. Like, that was normal, fighting and seeing that stuff. Like, that was I was going to say that was an everyday thing. It wasn't every day, but that was normal, in the black community for people to fight. So yeah, definitely four or more. I'm definitely in that four or more category. And I know I'm not the only person that's in the four or more category, and that's crazy to even think that, these things, it makes sense why I'm a little fucked. I'm a little fucked right now, but I'm working on it. I am doing the work and I'm working on it. But it makes sense why I'm a little in the head, because I done been through some stuff. It's definitely not as traumatic as some other people's, but traumatic nonetheless. Because I would not minimize my shit for nobody else's shit. But yeah, I definitely was on the, if there was a scale of how traumatic a situation could have been, I probably was like down here if this was like low and this was high, but it's still trauma, right? So I'm probably down here somewhere compared to some people are up here, which is why you have people that are in prison, dead, strung out, doing stupid shit, like all types of stuff. Like, I was definitely down here when it came to trauma and dealing with it. And again, I had a whole community around me where I was never super duper isolated when I was a kid. So I can only imagine what I would have did, because I had my own suicidal ideations and attempts, quote unquote, if you call that. Um, that so but I was not successful, and I had other things to live for. But I can only imagine for the people who don't have extracurriculars or don't have a community around them, or their family is not there to support them, what they can do. So if you have suicide ideations or thinking about suicide or anything like that, please dial 988, 988, and reach out to somebody, because I was actually on the other end helping people when they reached out, and it it was definitely beneficial. for a lot of people that called in. A lot of people were so grateful that they could get me on the line specifically, but just get somebody on the line because they really thought it was their last moment and they decided to dial and, save their life. So I definitely would recommend that if you're thinking about that, dial 988 and somebody could sit there and have a conversation with you and help you. And even if it's for that moment, they can do a lot for you. So I definitely recommend reaching out. But I know for me, I definitely, with my trauma being on this spectrum, I wanted to tap out. So when it's on this spectrum, this side, like again, imagine me being on a low end, the people that's on the high end of trauma, what they're going through on the day-to-day basis. Like mental health disorders is probably out the wazoo. Substance use disorders probably out the wazoo. They're probably sitting in prison somewhere. They're probably in 6 feet under somewhere. Like, so yeah. To continue on, it says, who is at risk of having an adverse childhood experience? Um, it says any child under the age of 18 can have an adverse childhood experience, and they're common among girls or children that are assigned female at birth, racial or ethnic groups classified as a minority. Now, what I will say that they didn't include, because they did put girls on here, but boys be going through it too. From watching Iyanla fix people's lives, the amount of young men, well, they're grown ass men at that point when they was on the show, but the amount of young men that are sexually molested as children are like, it's crazy. Like damn near every dude that was on there was sexually touched by somebody, whether it was the woman in like around them or a man around them. Like they're just as vulnerable. And if me personally, I think boys are way more vulnerable when it comes to sexual stuff, for the simple fact that they can't really tell nobody. Like people make it seem like a boy is supposed to be praised if he got the older girls coming at him and stuff like that. And then like if you were touched by a dude, now you got to worry about somebody calling you gay, all types of stuff. Like it's so much shame that comes around like a boy and sexual abuse that they should be on here too, because boys are probably way more vulnerable when it comes to sexual abuse than women will ever be. Like they're children too at that point. I get like when they become grown ass men, maybe you can't sexually abuse them as much as you can a woman, but while they're children, they're children. They can't fight back. They don't even know to fight back most of the time. Like, and they're just as trusting as young girls. They're just as naive as young. Not even. Is it naive? Would it be like, what is it? Not naive, but ignorant? No, I don't even know what the word would be. But they're just as that as like young. I don't like that specifically it's girls on there, because nasty ass people are nasty ass people. What they did, it don't got no gender on it. And honestly, again, I think the amount of young men that go through sexual abuse is probably way higher than is reported because of the shame that's tied to being sexually assaulted, especially by a dude while you're a young boy, or the fact that you're supposed to see it as like this great accomplishment if an older girl touched on you as a younger boy. Like, yeah, but sorry for the little, the little tangent. But children who experience socioeconomic challenges, children of parents or caregivers who experience stress, children who have family members or friends diagnosed with substance use disorder or a mental health condition. So definitely had. I'm a woman. I'm racial. I'm racial. What is I'm racial? I'm African American. Definitely had socioeconomic challenges. Definitely had parents who were under stress. Definitely had family members diagnosed with mental health conditions and substance use disorders. So definitely went through all of those. Definitely had aces. Beautiful. Some different signs that you can look out for to let you know that maybe your child has been through something, especially if your kid does not feel comfortable having conversations with you because maybe you haven't cultivated that space, or you don't know how to have that conversation. Some signs to possibly look out for, not guaranteed, but some things that could show up if your child has been through some different things, is they have a fear of other people. They have difficulty sleeping or frequent nightmares. They may bedwet. um, there may be changes to their moods, which means like they can fluctuate, um, kind of like they're on their period but they're not. Difficulty showing affection towards friends or family, avoiding situations or events that relate to traumatic experiences, and difficulty learning in school. So those are some things to look out for. Again, it doesn't automatically correlate to ACEs, but it's definitely some things to look out for to start that conversation or to seek help or whatever you need to do in order to ensure that your child is put in the best position possible for them to succeed in the future. Um, how does ACEs show up for an adult? Show up in adulthood, or how does ACEs impact your adult life? Y'all know what I'm trying to say. So it can show up in your adult life. Different things that could be a result of ACEs: anxiety, depression, PTSD, phobias, insomnia, mood disorders, substance use disorder, eating disorder. So by no means have I, excuse me, by no means have I been to anybody's psychiatrist and got diagnosed with anything. From my own understanding and me living this life, I feel like I've had some bouts of anxiety. I feel like I've had some bouts of depression. I feel like I have PTSD from one situation, and that's the molestation. And I'll be able to go into details about how it comes up and everything. Phobias, I don't really have no phobias. I'm just scared of frogs, for real. And I don't think that got nothing to do with aces. I just don't like frogs. But yeah. Insomnia. When I was younger, sleep where, sleep who? I would be sleep all day and up all night, but maybe that's a child thing. I don't know. Or maybe that's a lack of structure thing. I don't know. But I know that Doodlebops came on at 6 o'clock in the morning and I was going to be up to see Doodlebops. Like, I definitely was going to be up to see Doodlebops. And, all of the good shows in the morning. That was me. Definitely, that was me. Mood disorders. Again, I haven't been diagnosed with anything, so I don't know. Substance use disorders. Mm-mm. Me and substances is a no-no. My dad was a crackhead, so I just knew that was not gonna be a thing. My mom's friend is an alcoholic, so I knew that was not gonna be a thing. Um, I really don't want to be dependent on any substance, so that's just not my reality. It's not my reality. But now this eating disorder thing, I don't got no disorder by no means, because I'm not not dyslexic. What is the word? Well, I can't think of the. It ain't coming to my mind. It's anorexia. Oh, bulimia. Where did I get dyslexia from? Or like what is it when you don't like the way you look? A lot of people going through it right now. Body dysmorphia. I've never had any of that, but I do cope with food every now and again. Like, I've realized that when I'm feeling a certain way, I crave a lot more sweets. I'm very impulsive when it comes to food. Like, while I'm out and about, if I see something or think of something that I want, I go get it. Um, yeah. I don't know if that correlates, but me and food, we have an on and off relationship. I don't think it necessarily comes from specific. It might have something to do with the aces, but I'm still pretty healthy for the most part when it comes to food. But if you do notice that your child eating patterns are thrown where it could be anorexia or bulimia or body dysmorphia, it could be correlated to, oh, I guess it's not child, this is how it shows up in adult life. um they possibly went through aces. Sorry, y'all, confused a little bit. But yeah, it can show up in eating disorders, which is crazy. And I mentioned this previously. People aren't really talking about eating disorders like that. If anything, it's body positivity. But I wonder if eating disorders are still a thing. Because I remember when I was growing up, I loved Degrassi, right? And in Degrassi, they talked about anorexia, bulimia, all of that. Like, that was like, those were topics on the show because it was a teen show talking about stuff that was going on in high school and around that age. So, and then a lot of shows talked about like those different things. So it's weird that we don't really hear about it anymore. But I wonder if it's still a thing or if it's increased, because with social media, I can only imagine the type of body dysmorphia people have and everything. So it's weird that it's not talked about more, or still, considering the state we're in. It says some behavioral changes caused by ACEs in adults. Research suggests that adults who had adverse childhood experiences may be more likely to participate in high risk behavior, including using tobacco products, misusing prescription medications, experimenting with drugs or highly addictive substances, participating in high risk sexual behaviors, attempting suicide or self harm. So, um, the attempting suicide and self harm came for me when I was younger. It showed up. The thoughts showed up a little bit in college, but I've been pretty decent on that since then. I haven't had any thoughts of suicide come up or self harm or anything like that. My biggest one is the participating in high risk sexual behaviors. I don't necessarily do nothing super crazy. Like, I guess it is super crazy. In hindsight, 2020, it is super crazy. But I don't do anything out of the normal of today, which is like, you meet somebody, you have sex with them on the first night. Until you really think, I meet somebody and have sex with them on the first night. This motherfucker could have gave me some shit that I couldn't have got rid of, and I had sex with them on the first night. You know, maybe not wrapping it up. You know, maybe like all types of shit, allowing them to come to my house and I was the only one that lived there and I'm the woman and they're the man. Like, you know, I could go into depth, you know, later on down the line in episodes, but you know, definitely participated in high risk sexual behaviors that not proud of, but definitely was doing some stupid shit. Definitely was doing some stupid shit. And still doing some stupid shit and working on not doing stupid shit no more. Now that I'm aware, because when you're conscious and you're aware, at that point you're just putting yourself through stupid shit. Put yourself through stupid. I'm not trying to keep putting myself through stupid shit. I'm not. But yeah, for me, that's the one that I have been participating in a lot. As well as probably a lot of people, because this is a highly sexual culture. I can only imagine how many people are in a part of this highly sexual culture because of ACEs. If ACEs was not a thing, I would genuinely want to know how many people would still be a part of this highly sexual culture. But that's a question that I'll probably never get answered because ACEs is a thing. um, but yeah, so what does an adverse childhood experience do to your body? A whole bunch of stuff. So it says experiences cause, well, ACEs cause extreme stress to a child's body. When you're stressed, your body releases hormones like cortisol and adrenaline to help you adapt to the situation. This is called the fight or flight response. The release of these hormones causes an increased heart rate, changes to your breathing, changes to your vision, and more. This response is usually temporary. Long term stress causes your stress hormones to be in use constantly, which isn't supposed to happen. This is known as toxic stress, which can target your brain and change how it grows and functions. So there's a lot of people that are in fight or flight damn near every day. That's crazy. No, nobody's body should be being overtaken by these hormones daily, especially a child. When your brain is in development stage, you should not be getting cortisol and adrenaline damn near every day. It's going to lead to problems. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Um, how do childhood, how do ACEs experience affect development? So it says it can impact how a person develops. Children are born eager to learn from the environment around them. This desire helps them become independent and reach childhood milestones set for their age. All of their childhood experiences, both positive and negative, influence how a child grows and develops. A child's brain is very sensitive. It its development is similar to growing a seed. The seed, which is the brain, looks for certain things in its environment to help it grow, like sunlight, water, and soil. When a seed has its basic needs met, it turns into a flower. If there's not enough sunlight, it experiences trauma. So sunlight basically equates to the trauma. Your seed doesn't get the nutrition it needs. It may grow. Okay, but it needs a little support from the flowers around it to stand tall. So basically, if it lacks being able to get the things that it needs, it's going to need those other things around it to help it to grow. So for me, like I said, I was in hella extracurriculars, which is why I'm pretty decent. Like, I'm not dead and I'm still on track, but I still have the things that are coming out because, again, I did go through these things. And right now, my life has nothing in it right now. So I'm going through a lot right now that my subconscious is playing out so much and everything like that. But when I was younger, I was blessed to have cheerleading, band, people around me. It wasn't, well, probably around high school time is when I lost a lot of that, except for cheerleading. Cheerleading was the only thing I had, but after cheerleading season was over, I lost a lot of that. So shit started to go downhill in high school. And it continued to go downhill in college. And now we're down for college. We're trying to turn some shit around. We're not trying. We're working to turn some shit around because, yeah, it all just did a decrease because my social life declined. And so then you got to sit with your shit, and your shit is shit, and it stink. And you're working to figure out how to get it out of your system, and you keep getting re-triggered and it's a lot. So yeah, but yeah, putting your kids around people, healthy individuals, or at least a healthy environment, even if they can't get the things they need all the way at home, or they may be going through stuff out and about, if they're in healthy environments, it can combat a lot of the ACEs or the traumaticness of the situation, because they have other things that's pouring into them and feeding them and giving them the nutrition that they need. ACEs are often out of a child's control, and negative experience cloud their brain. A child who has ACEs may need support throughout their life from healthcare providers, friends, family, and their communities to help them bloom. Facts. And it's weird because today we're more isolated than we've ever been, and we're probably the most traumatized than we've ever been, because you gotta think, again, we're there, our parents pass along their shit along with what their parents gave them, along with what their parents gave them, and so on and so forth. So if nobody really did the work, we damn near got the shit that they they was inflicted with as slaves on top of what we go through on our own. So it's like we really got a lot of shit going on. And if you don't have a support system around you, that's why you fucked for real. Like, because you're not meant to be able to handle this stuff by yourself. God didn't put us here by ourselves. So the shit we go through is not for us to get through it by ourselves. And we're so isolated, and nobody trusts nobody. Everybody fears everything. Like, everybody's scared to connect. Everybody, like, this is it's so weird because social media is supposed to help us connect, right? This is the era of nobody trusting nobody for real. Like, the only thing we can trust is a connection behind a screen that we never have to really pour into because it's behind the screen. Granted, there's still a lot of connections and everything being formed in real life, but this is the era of really, like, a lot of isolation, a lot of distrust. Like, people are really on some, I don't trust you because I've been so hurt that I don't even know how to trust myself, trust you. Like, I really done been through the ringer. I don't even know how to put myself in a position to trust anything at all. Like, and so you try to put on a smile and a mask and all this other stuff, but really when you come back home and get in this bed, you don't trust these people at all. You realize you're not even being yourself with these people. You're not giving these people an ounce of you. You just gave them a facade of you. And so it's like, in a era where you think we're supposed to be the most connected because of social media, we're the most disconnected. and and you can tell that too by the shit that's popular. The shit that's popular is the most negative shit right now. Like, it's the most negative shit. All right, like, y'all, like, little side quest. I was on YouTube. Do you know how many 20B1s slid across my goddamn YouTube thing? And for me, it wouldn't be a problem if the selling point from these women wasn't their bodies. The selling points be their bodies. It be, I give you the best head. I can have sex with you right now. Like, and this is the shit that's popular. This is the content people are wanting to recreate. Like, this is how you know that we are in such a disconnected era, because like look at what we're pushing to the forefront. Like I said, for me participating in a lot of this sex stuff resulted from my aces. I can only imagine how many women had the aces, and that's why they're presenting sex first when they go on this stuff. Like, I digress. I ain't supposed to be talking about other people. I'm supposed to be talking about me. But like, really, like, you could really see where we are as a society in America when the popular shit is dysfunctional. Krishan and Blueface really shouldn't have been as popular as they are. But you know what's crazy is that they probably represent more people in our community than not. And it might not be on the screen for everybody to see, but it's a Blueface and Krishan in your family. It's Blueface and Krishan in your family. And that's probably why they're so popular, is because people can look at them and be like, these niggas was just doing this. Like, how they making money off there, and these niggas was just doing, and that's crazy. That's crazy. That, you know, the most popular shit is the most negative. It's the most negative. And again, this is supposed to be the era of connection, and we're so disconnected as a people. So just imagine, like, this, and this is the adults, right? So just imagine what our children are going through. Just imagine what the kids are going through. People who don't have critical developing skills. They can't put two and two together. And they're seeing all of the bullshit. And on top of that, we're popularizing the bullshit. So it's like, let me go out here and traumatize myself so that I can be popular. Let me go out here and become a Blueface and Krishan so I can be popular. Not even that you you had to go through aces. You probably go out here and look for the aces to come to you. Think of how crazy that is. You probably go look for the bullshit to come to you just so you could be popular like the rest of the bullshit that's being popular. Like, the shit we're doing to our kids today is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's so disheartening. It's so disheartening. What are the most common causes of adverse childhood experiences? A traumatic event that happens during childhood causes adverse childhood experiences. They are many causes of ACE, including violence, abuse, neglect, loss of a friend, missing parental figures, or divorce. Okay, I already went through that, but yeah, that's all for the most part. That's it. Like, I went through everything, but y'all, for real, we are low key fucking up the children. And so when I do see people that are invested in the children, I really love that. Even now, like for myself, I still battle if I want to deal with like children specifically when I get like my mental health degree, or if I want to focus on both or whatever. Um, Dr. Umar said something, and I think I've heard it before too, but it's just like these big grown ass people are gonna be harder to save than the kids, and because they're so impressionable, they probably need way more assistance than these big grown ass people. So I don't know. I think for me, I do love children so much that I want to be able to help the kids because they're the future. Um, of course, we want to help the adults because these are the people who are raising the kids, but the kids are, they definitely need the most help right now. Considering that if they're glued to their phones, they're seeing a bunch of bullshit every time they go on to their social media, unless their parents are doing what they're supposed to be doing. But more often than not, the parents are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And again, children are easily impressionable. So the parents could be doing what they're supposed to be doing, but peer pressure is a motherfucker. So if your kids go to school and the kids at school being bad as fuck, or they look at stuff that's terrible and stuff like that, your kid's going to be easily influenced. So whereas you might think you're doing really well at parenting, now you got a kid that come home and be on some bullshit because of their peers. And this is why you cultivate those safe spaces and that open door policy. Like, this is why you say, yo, if you need to talk to me about anything, talk to me. Or you reach out to your uncles or aunties or an adult, a safe space and an adult, because who, what we were going through at our tender age, at our young ages, like I can only imagine what these kids are going through. And they need a lot of help, and they need a lot of guidance, and they need a lot of assistance, and to be able to talk to somebody and really be able to navigate this system. It's crazy because people talk about these gender wars and don't realize that a lot of the negative shit, a lot of the kids are latching on to the negative shit, because you also got to remember that 14, 15 is the time where you're starting to date, and you try to date this one person and then they end up breaking your heart. So now you be like, fuck all the people. And so you latch onto this negative stuff like real heavy. Like, people talk about the Andrew Tates and the Fresh and Fits and all these other people, and they don't realize that if you don't provide another just as amazing content and everything as them, what else they gonna latch on to? Especially if they don't have a safe space at home to open up and converse. What else is they gonna latch on to other than the bullshit? Like, we gotta be willing to become the content that we want these kids to latch on to. um by no means am I is popping is where I want to be, but I definitely know that if I had a me where I am now, at the space I am at now, if I had a me, I would be so grateful, and I probably would be in a different space when I like when I was a child if I had a me. So I just want to be able to give me to the people around me online and everything else, because these kids are looking for guidance, and they may not be getting it at home, or if they are getting it at home, again, the stuff online is way more popular. Sorry, mom, you don't have the stuff that they got. Like, sorry, dad, you don't have the stuff that they got. So we got to have people that have the flashy stuff promoting the good content, that putting out the good content, really doing good things so that the kids can latch on to it. Because as much as I do love the relationship spaces and all this other stuff, these young kids ain't paying attention to that shit. It's us older folks that are paying attention to it. And yes, we can take that knowledge and take it home, but these younger kids, they is on to the toxic shit. They like the toxic shit. The toxic shit make them happy. And so we need to be figuring out a way to really get the eyes of the children so that we can really help navigate them through the shenanigans, um, or provide support to the parents of these children so that they can help navigate the children through shenanigans, because ACEs leads to stupid shit. Whether it's you being reliant upon the health system, you being stuck in and out of prison system, you being stuck on substance use and abuse and all this other stuff, or just whatever the case may be, like you just end up being stuck in this negative cycle going through ACEs. And it doesn't do anything, especially for the Black community, because we're already here compared to everybody else in America. We really need to figure out a way to combat the ACEs, or provide systems and everything to support people that are going through ACEs. Like, our children really, really, really need it. I do love that there's so many uh, young men like Kai and AMP, well, all the AMP that are teaching these young boys that you don't have to do nothing crazy to be able to make money and be popular and everything. The only thing is like those type of content, and it still has negative things embedded within it that the children can latch on to. Like, as positive as they are, they still have a lot of disrespectful things when it comes to like women and their bodies and stuff like that. And not AMP specifically, but people that are like that creating that content that they're latching onto is still a little unhealthy. So it's like they're getting a new way to make money, but now we're making money in an unhealthy way online, and it's still perpetuating negative stuff that's still playing a part into your mental. So it's like we still got a lot of work to do, a lot of work to do. And honestly, right now we need all hands on deck. Whatever you can do to help the ones around you, do it, because we in a trying time. When they say it's spiritual warfare, baby, it's spiritual warfare, baby, and we in battle. And we got to suit it and boot it, and go out there and help in the best way that we can while we're on this earth, for the time that we're on this earth. But yeah, that's where I'm gonna stop, y'all. Next week I'm gonna go into those specific ones that I said I had. Like, I have 4 more. I'm gonna go to the stories and how they play into my life and what I'm doing to deal with them and stuff like that. Starting next week, I'll start with one and then go. And then I'll invite other people on here to go too. Um, so that we can really start relating, getting some ideas of how to combat this stuff, and helping each other through these tough times, because being Black in America, they probably not going nowhere no time soon, but we definitely can support each other in these times, whether that's providing knowledge or actually being a physical support for somebody. We got to do what we can do, and what I can do is share my story and be a relate of a person, an adult that the children can reach out to, if necessary, or that adults can reach out to. So I'm gonna do my part the best way I can. But yes, so y'all, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you again for like staying with me or come along on this journey, because this is gonna be a journey and it's gonna be a fun one. So yeah. um check me out on, I got a figure out how to get me back on Spotify. Because I'm not taking off, but I gotta get the other get these new episodes on there. But Apple Podcast, Spotify, all the streaming services, listen, all that good stuff. Yeah. Do your part, y'all. Do your part. I'm doing my part. I hold y'all to do y'all part. And help out the kids the best way we can. But yeah, that's it for this week. Next week we're gonna go a little deeper. So yeah. This is Talk Your Shit with Asia, where we drop the eye, because not only can I talk my shit, but I want you to talk your shit too. And I'll check out that. I don't know. I'll talk with y'all and be back with y'all next Wednesday at 7. Bye.